Right, guys, this is week 10, part 2. We are going to do the hex wrench drawing. We have the instructions for this right here. You can find them on Moodle. So make sure you're reading through your instructions before we start. So we're going to start with the case. So we'll be in the front plane and we'll start a new sketch. So I'm just gonna start roughing this out here. We've got our line. We're in a millimeter template. We've got one circle. Then we kind of angle down. We're going to angle up. And I'm going to make my other circle from over here. Just because I think it works a little nicer. Then that will be our rough shape, very rough shape. I'm just gonna do some housekeeping here. Okay, so that line is horizontal. Wanted to make sure before I put in my angle dimension. And that's gonna be 120. I'm gonna dimension. These circles aren't the same. So this one on this side is 21 millimeters up, and this half circle is 24 millimeters up. And we have another 120 angle right here. And the radius for this is 16, and they are the same radius. So we do have that. And I know this looks all sorts of messed up, but we've got a couple relationships to make. And hopefully once we do that, it'll look better. And we're missing our 150. And our last relationship that we need to make to get this fully defined is this line and that point are going to be coincident. So if we look at our instructions, if you look, this line and this point are on the same plane, like they're equal. You want those to be coincident, and that'll get you fully defined. So now we can extrude this 31 millimeters. Doesn't matter which way you do the extrude, that's fine. And now we can add the 10 millimeter fillets. 10 millimeters, and we're going to fill it right here. And right here. That looks good. Now we can shell the part. So shell's right here, don't forget. It's been a minute since we used it. We're doing 1 millimeter thick. And we want to get rid of this center. So we're going to shell here, here. Don't forget that little tiny surface. There you go. And this last one. So make sure you grab everything but the outsides and the bottom. That is what we are going to shell. We can do a preview if we want. And looks good. So we say awesome. Now we can cut our 2 holes. So we're going to do that real quick. I'm going to sketch right on this surface, and I'm going to put a hole right here, and we're going to do another hole over here. And these holes are going to be 8.5 in diameter. And they're going to be equal. Awesome. And we can cut that all the way through. That looks great. Okay. Next, we get into some trickery things. So we're going to select the inside bottom surface. Inside bottom surface. Click on Insert. So up here, Insert. we're going to sheet metal, and we're going to select bends. We'll set our radius for 2 millimeters and then leave all the other settings the same. So everything else is good. Now we hit the green checkbox, and that has turned our part into a sheet metal part that we can flatten. So now we want to unfold our sheet metal part. So if we come up here to sheet metal, we can unfold, and we can select that as our fixed face. And the bends, to unfold, we can just hit collect all bends and hit the green checkbox, and that will give us a nice flat sheet metal part. So now we can sketch on the bottom here, and we can make those cuts that are on page 7 of our instructions. So we're sketching, we can just draw some rectangles here. And this is how we're going to get our the holes and the notch in the middle for this part. Let's put some dimensions on here. Oops, that's not what I meant to grab. Oop, sorry. Okay. So we're grabbing the line. Grab the edge. It's going to be 65 millimeters, and then we have 20 millimeters. Make sure you're using all of your dimensions. This is 8 and 26. There are definitely other ways to make sheet metal parts, and I would love to tell you all about them, but we don't have time in this semester to get into it, which I'm really upset about because I use sheet metal all the time for my real job. So maybe someday I can work the sheet metal into the semester, but right now I just haven't found anything I can cut out yet. So we've got our notches all fully defined, so we can cut this out. So we can extrude cut through all. That looks great. And now we can go back to sheet metal and we can fold. So our fixed face is good. We can collect all the bends and we can fold this. Bam! Check it out! Notches made, beautiful. That is absolutely perfect. So now what we need to do is go to our file and save. And you should have a folder you've named Hex Wrench on your computer. So you can come here and just name it case. Right? Yes. We're going to name that case and we can save it. And then we need to, hold on, my instructions got cut off in the printer, so I'm going to go read the instructions on the computer. All right. Yep. All right. Making sure. Okay. We're going to change its color to blue so we can come up to Display Manager. And open Appearance Library. And for color, we're going to right click and select Edit Appearance. So right click, Edit Appearance, and we can make it blue. It can be any shade blue you like. Not going to be too picky about what blue you make it. I like the nice primary blue. All right, so we'll save that one more time and we will be done with that. Fantastic. Let's start a new part. Make sure it is in millimeters. And since my instructions are printed weird, we're going to come back and look at the pin online. All right, so we have a thin revolve feature all in one sketch, and we're going to make this a gold orange color. So we're going to sketch this beautiful thin revolve. So we're going to need a center line, and that's basically, I mean, it's going to be a really easy part. So let's go to the front plane and make our center line. And make my center line out here. And I'm going to make my line. And make a little circle. And we'll do the same thing over here. Make a little circle. And we'll dimension this. So this line is going to be 31. The outside diameter is going to be 8. We're going to go 8, and then we have a radius of 2. And these are equal. And let's make this and the origin vertical. Make this point, those 2 points vertical, and these 2 points vertical. That'll get us fully defined. And now when we do our revolve, we do not want this to be automatically closed. We do want a thin revolution. You do want this to be open. And our thickness is 0.5. There we go. That looks more like it. And remember that the dimension we were given was the outside diameter, so we want our revolve to be on the inside. So make sure when you look at this, see how my line for my sketch is on the outside? That is what we want. All right. There we go. So that is going to be the pin. And we're going to change this. Select color, right click, edit our appearance, and we want to make this orange. So grab any orange that you like. I'm going to go with this one. And we'll go to File, Save in our Hex Wrench folder, and this is going to be the pin. So I'm just going to name that pin. Moving on. New part, millimeters, and now we can make the washer, which the washer is so easy. I don't know how you could ever mess this one up. We're going to do 2 circles. Dimension them, 9.5 and 28 millimeters. Those are fully defined. Extrude That is going to be a 1mm extrusion. And the color is going to be a salmon pink color. I'm really not going to be too harsh about any colors that you guys choose. I'm very forgiving. As you can see, the background to my SolidWorks is light pink, so I am definitely not one to judge you on what color you make your things. And we're going to save this. And this is going to be washer. Fantastic. All right, so now we are going to start with the hex key. And you can read through the instructions before listening and watching this part if you'd like, and that can help you make things make more sense. Or you can just go with it. But if I go too fast or you don't follow something quite exactly, refer to the written instructions, which are very thorough and in-depth. But I will do my very best to answer all your questions right now. So we're going to start on the front plane. We're going to sketch. And I'm going to draw a line here. And we're going to come out here. And I'm going to stop that. And then I'm going to draw a center line. Tangent to my circle. And I'm going to make this line coincident to my big line. And this will all make sense, I promise. So we're going to start with that measurement of 100mm, and our radius is going to be 4 here. And I have a 45-degree angle here. Perfect. And now I can draw a solid line on top of my center line. And then I can grab the end of that center line that I made and the end of my solid line. And that's where my 2mm gap is going to come in. So that is all fully defined, and I can close that sketch out. Now I'm going to create a plane. So here's my front plane. Here's my right plane. And that is where I'm going to create my new plane from. So it is going to be based off the right plane. So I'm going to grab the right plane. I'm going to hold Control. And I'm going to pull away from it to make my new plane. And that is going to be, the first reference is going to be the right plane. The second reference is going to be the end of my sketch. So that point of my sketch, I can just grab that point, and that'll fully define my plane. We want to make sure we're grabbing that point and not using a dimension of any sort, because then when our hex key changes shape and length, that plane will go with it. So very important to grab the end of that sketch. So on plane 1, I can sketch and I can make my hexagon. I want my hexagon to have the point on the end point of my initial sketch. So you see, in the end of that sketch line, that's where I want my hexagon point to be. I'm going to go normal 2 to the hexagon. And I'm going to grab the top point and the bottom point and make them vertical. And then I'm going to dimension my hex on the flats. It is going to be 6mm. Ooh, that looks big. Okay. Why is this not fully defined yet? Oh, because it's not connected to anything. Okay, so I'm going to connect my point. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I wanted to make those coincident. There we go. Now that is fully defined and I can exit this sketch. So now I can highlight. Well, you can read the instructions, but I'm going to do my swept boss slash base right here. And we're going to do sketch profile. And this first one here is asking for the profile of the sweep. So I'm going to choose sketch 3 because that is my hexagon. Now the next one is the path that you want it to take, and I'm going to select sketch 2. So you can see that my hexagon is now going all the way across through my sketch, my first sketch. And that is exactly how I want it to look. And I will hit OK. And that is my first hex key. And my instructions say to change the color of the hex key to dark gray. So we can do that. I just clicked over here on appearance decals, and then we can double click here. And over here, and we can right click color, edit appearance, and make it dark gray. Perfect. Now, before we go any further, I want to save this. So I'm going to save this as hex key. Awesome. So now in our feature manager, we're going to right click, on annotation, and we're going to tell it to show feature dimensions. Now we can go to insert, go to tables, way down here, go to design table, and we're going to hit the green check mark. It's going to take a minute. It's fine. Totally normal. This is normal. Now, click OK without selecting any of these dimensions. B2, we should now see a spreadsheet open in our drawing space. Make sure cell B2 is selected, then double click your length dimension in the model. So that is our 100 millimeters. So we're double clicking that. In cell C2, we're going to double click across our flats dimension. Now we're going to type in all the information shown at the right for cells A3 through C11, the text and the numbers, and then we can click anywhere in this empty drawing space to close the spreadsheet. So we are going to start here, 3A, and we're going to put 2 millimeter key. And I'm going to change this to 60 and this to 2. 3 millimeter key. And we can do 65 and 3. Okay. All right, and once you are finished with that last entry, we're going to double click out here. Oh man, SolidWorks just jumped around on me. It's totally fine though. There we go. Design table generated the following configurations: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome. So now, if we come over to our configuration manager, all of those are here, and we can delete the default key as long as we're on a different key. So now you can see that all of your hex keys are automatically coming in with those dimensions we typed in. So that is a nice, easy way to do a lot of work all at once. So we're going to save this one more time. And we are going to exit out. Now we are going to do our Now we're going to make our assembly. So we're going to go to assembly. Make sure you are in millimeters. And we're going to enter our case. Open. And drop the case in. That is perfect. Looks good. And we've got a lot more to enter in. So we're going to insert components. You can browse here. We're going to do the pin, the hex key. We're going to do the hex key a lot. So I have a 2mm in there. I need a 3mm hex key. I need a 4mm hex key. I need a 5mm hex key. If you accidentally drop the same size hex key in here over and over again, that's totally okay. We can fix that later. So just make sure you've got all 10 in here. We can always add more if we need to. It's fine. We need 2 of these pins. Not the hex key, just the pin. We need 2 of these pins. And 4 washers. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty. So, start out with our assembly. We're going to do concentric mate here. Pull that through. It should be long enough. Alright. Okay, it is long enough. My angle was just off. That's fine. And we'll make this pin concentric over here. I'm just grabbing the surfaces and holding the control key and letting my pop-up menu take care of this for me. You are, of course, always welcome to use the mate tool, which is up here. If you want to see something cool about the mate tool, this is multiple mates. So if you know you're going to do the same mate with a couple parts, I can grab the face of this pin and I can grab 2 washers at once. Isn't that fun? Yeah. So that's just a shortcut if you know you're going to be using the same thing. So I can do the same thing over here. Grab that face. Then I can grab the inside of both of these washers. And that just takes care of it for me all at the same time, rather than doing each concentric mate on my own. So we want these pins to go in a certain order, like they are in our view here. Don't be misleaded by this. This pin, like this pin, is on the inside over here too. So just keep your washers on the inside. But you can see that we've got our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 millimeter hex keys over here, and then it goes 8, 9, 10. So that is the order we want our hex keys to be in. So we're going to start with our 3mm, and I'm going to come up here to rotate component, because I like it to be in the position, you know, that it's going to be in later. So I'm going to grab the edge here, the edge line for that circle, and that's what I'm going to make concentric. And then I'm going to do some housekeeping real quick because this is bothering me. We're going to take the end of our end of our pin. There's that surface right there. That is going to be right smack dab up against the outside. You can see that fits perfect. Then we'll do this pin, or not pin, that's the washer, to that face. Make those coincident. And then come up here. And we're going to take this face, make it coincident right there. And this can go up and down, which is fine. That's how I would like it to be right now. So that is how you are going to put all of these in here. All right, and then I have a 2mm. If you're not sure what size hex key you have, you can always highlight it, and it'll tell you right here, this is the 3mm, and then I have a 4mm, and then I have a bunch of 5mm. And like I said, it's okay if you accidentally have a whole bunch of 5mm. It's totally fine. Don't know why I keep mentioning things. It's an accident. If you have too many 5mm, so this one is a 5mm, I would like it to be a 6mm, all you have to do is come up here and change it to 6mm and hit the green checkbox, and it'll change it. See? So it bumped out. You can do the same thing here. So we have 7. And it bumps, and an 8, and a 9. This one didn't update to the 8. There we go. And I'm 1 short, but all I have to do is come back up here to insert, and I can grab the hex key and hit open. Or, alternatively, you can hold your control key, and pull out onto your screen. And that is another way that you can get more parts out. Just a shortcut. You know, I like to show you guys shortcuts. Okay, I am going to finish fully defining all of my parts. And I am going to cut out a lot of that because you guys don't need to sit here and watch me do this one by one. So I'm going to cut out, and then you guys can catch up to me when I get it fully defined, and then I will show you how to do the exploded assembly. All right, cool. All right, so we are still on our beautiful assembly. If you have gotten this far without saving like I have just now, whew, we're in trouble, guys. So make sure you're in your hex wrench, and we are going to save this as the hex wrench assembly. All right, guys, so once you have got your hex keys in where you want them, we are going to get started on our exploded view. So in your feature manager, you're going to come to configuration manager, and we will get our exploded view on. So first things first, I'm going to right click in open space and get my view orientation out here, and I'm going to pin this down because this is going to be a trimetric view in our drawing. So I really want to make sure I have access to that trimetric view, because while I am exploding, I really want to make sure I can go back to that trimetric view so I can make sure it looks the way I want it to look in the drawing. So now we're going to come over and we're going to right click on our default configuration, and we're going to go to New Exploded View. And I'm going to explode the right side first. So I'm going to grab all the parts that I want in my exploded view. So that's everything but the case. Make sure you're spinning around and grabbing that washer. This is why I've got my orientation saved up here, is so when I spin around I can go back to trimetric. So I'm going to grab my Z arrow. I'm going to right click on that or left click on that, and I'm going to pull out. And you want to make sure there's space between that last washer and the case. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, but you definitely want some blank space back there, so some daylight to see through. Then you're going to hit the done button down here, and that'll take you out of step 1. And when everything's not pink anymore, that's how you know you're out of this step and you can continue. So we're going to click all the things that we want in step 2. So everything but that back washer, and we're going to pull on that Z arrow again, and you're going to, once again, make sure there's a little bit of daylight in between your parts. And then you can hit that done button over on your feature manager that we did last time. Or there is another way to get out of that step that I will show you right now. So when you pull on your Z, after there's a little bit of space there, you can see my mouse next to my arrow has a little green arrow on the right side of it. So if you right click your mouse, that'll take you out of that step and into the next explode step. So if you accidentally grab a part that you don't want to come with your explode, just click it again. So that's all you have to do is click it again, and it'll get rid of that. So once again, we're grabbing all our parts and we're just pulling and making sure there's enough distance in between the hex keys to make it look good. And then hitting that done button. So we're almost done with our right side. And we don't have to pull out too far because we're getting rid of the washer in this step, not the pin. So it's okay that the pin was that close to that last hex key. Now the pin comes out and we can hit done. So that's everything on the right side. And we're going to do the same steps on the left side. So I'm going to fast forward through this part. We're just going to jump ahead, so that way you guys don't waste time watching me do the exact same thing on the other side. Alright, so now we have our exploded view, and it looks beautiful. So what we'd like to do now is put in those nice construction lines that run through. So we're going to go up here to exploded view, and there's a little down arrow, and we can go to exploded line sketch. So here it's going to ask us our items to connect, and we only need to grab 2 to make the line. So we can come and grab this inside of our pin, and we can grab the inside of this circle on the case, and you can see how that line goes all the way through our part. And we can hit the green checkbox, and that gives us a beautiful route line. That's what they call that. So we can do the same thing over here. We're going to reverse that line, that arrow. We want to make sure it's going the right direction. And we'll click here. And green checkbox, and that gives us our 2 route lines, which will look really good on our drawing. So we'll hit OK. And we're going to save. We're going to rebuild and save the document. Save all our components. That's fine. And in our trimetric view, you can see that's going to look great on our drawing. I can get rid of that orientation box now. And we can expand that arrow, like drop that down arrow so we can see our exploded view. And we double click that and that pops it right back in place. We double click again, pulls out. So that is how we can get our exploded view showing and not showing. So now we're going to come up here to our file and we're going to make a drawing from this assembly. We're going to grab our drawing title block. And we're going to do a B-size landscape. And I know this isn't the right title block, and that's fine. I'm not going to be horribly upset. But you can see on our view palette, one of our options is an isometric exploded. But we don't want isometric exploded, we want a trimetric. So we're going to pull out our trimetric. And over here in our drawing view, we can have that shown in exploded or model break state, and we want to show and explode, and it pulls up our exploded view. If you accidentally messed up and you made more than one exploded view and you've got multiple ones, if you just hit the down arrow, it'll bring up all of the exploded views you might have made, and you can choose the one that is the correct exploded view. I know a lot of people sometimes make mistakes and they'll make a new exploded view, but if you don't delete the bad ones, they'll all be in there and you can just choose the best looking one. So we can drag this up, we can make that look nice and pretty. We look at our instructions. This is what we want our drawing to look like. So we've got a couple more views and then we need that bill of materials. So we're going to come back to our drawing and we're going to come up to Insert and Tables and Bill of Materials and select our drawing for the bill of materials. And over here for part configuration grouping, if you are using the KCC templates, you can come up here and open the table template, and it should pull up the configuration template that I'm asking for in the instructions. But because we are not an online course and I was not planning on teaching this online, if you're using the standard SolidWorks templates that come on SolidWorks, what you're going to need to do is do a standard BOM. We're going to do where it says part configuration grouping, you're going to display configurations of the same part as separate items. And that way we'll get all of our hex keys in their own separate numbers. Otherwise it won't do that, and that's not good. It has our 10mm key at the bottom. You can drag that up underneath the 9mm key. So that they're all together. And you can do that. So if you want to put, the case down at the bottom with the washer and the pin, you can do that. You can do it alphabetically. So you can pull the case up above the pin and the washer. It's fine. As long as the quantities and the part numbers are good, I am happy. You are going to need to go and fill in your descriptions. So you're gonna want to add in your materials. So you're gonna edit your material. You're gonna come over to if you don't have our templates, come to insert a column, select material, and it will pull up material. So when you come over to when you are editing your materials, so our washer, I know we want that to be neoprene, so we can come up to properties, type in material, And for your value, put in neoprene and hit OK. And when you go back to your sheet, you can see it is neoprene. So that, and then you can delete that column. You don't need that. So we want our part numbers / configuration name, our material, and the quantity. And you can stick that wherever it will fit. Like I said, we don't have our KCC template, so I am not going to be too harsh about anything. You can make sure you can, you know, make this smaller, squish it down, edit your table, make it as close to the example I gave you as you can. And then you can scooch that up, move this table down here underneath it like it's shown in the example. Just do your best. If we were an online class, I would have supplied you with the templates and everything, but we don't have that option right now. I didn't grab those before I left the school, so I don't have them. But make sure that you are putting ballooning and everything looks good. A fun thing to do with your balloons here is to get them to line up nicely. So there's two ways you can do that. You can either use the SolidWorks driven lines, you know, the little yellow lines that says they're all lined up. Or you can come up here to magnetic line and you can draw a line and you can have them be equal. And then all of your parts that are on this line are going to line up, and you can edit your angle that these are at. You can edit the length of the line. And you can have all your parts be nice and angled in a aesthetically pleasing manner. So make sure you have your other two views, and make sure you have your name on here, and get it turned into Moodle. And if you have any other questions about anything, please feel free to email me. I'm always available. So have fun and good luck and stay safe. Yeah.